All right, good morning, everyone. Today on the T Podcast, we have Patricia Naomi with us. She is the owner and vice president of Paul's Fine Jewelry in Lafayette, located in River Ranch. We're going to be talking with her about the company's founding story and getting to know how the company came to be and where it's at today and where it's going to be going and just kind of their overall impact in the community and learn all we can about it. So stick around and enjoy the show. All right, before we get started, let me go ahead and tell you about our presenting sponsor is Chase Group Construction. They take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. You probably heard me mention them plenty of times before because they are a consistent sponsor with us. They have done a lot in the Lafayette community, in the Acadiana area, building new restaurants, medical centers all around the Acadiana area, including Opelousas, Broussard. You probably have eaten in one of the restaurants that they built, which is Fat Pat's in Broussard and Bro Bridge. They built tons more than that, though, but those are the main two things that I mentioned. They built multi-unit shopping centers, really great company, locally founded by Chase Landry. You can check them out at chasegroupconstruction.com. They are, like I said, a design build firm, so you can design it with them and build it with them. So that's kind of cool. All right. So we're going to get into the conversation with Miss Patricia here. Patricia, how's it going today?
It's going great. This is my first podcast.
Awesome. Well, look, I'm glad that it's your first podcast with me. Yeah. It's always nice to kind of get to talk to someone who hasn't done it before because they don't know what to expect. And I'm just kind of like, I've been doing this probably almost 300 episodes now. So,
wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
It's been a minute. So tell me a little bit about you. First off, I do have in my notes that you were born and raised in Lafayette. So
yes.
Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I am all Lafayette Elementary, Lafayette High, UL. My profession originally was as a school teacher. I have a master's degree in English education. I taught at Northside High for 7 years. Teaching gave me a great appreciation for the jewelry store I was forced to work in as a child. My parents, we had to work in the jewelry store when we were little. I polished silver, I ran errands, I went to the post office, and we were like, we're just cheap labor for you because you don't pay us.
Oh, the kids, you don't pay the kids.
And they're like, you're getting paid. But, it was a beautiful experience at the time. And when I realized how special it was, I ran back to it. I was fortunate to have this wonderful business to go back to where I worked with my parents and my brother and eventually my sister. So that was really enriching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of going back to your teaching career.
Yes.
What led you to want to start teaching?
I loved reading. My mother read constantly.
Okay.
And so she kind of fostered that in me. My father could barely read and write. My mother read constantly. So that love of reading, the love of the English language, and I loved school. I thought school was a blast.
Okay.
It was fun.
You're in the minority.
I like going to classes.
Okay.
I liked that whole atmosphere of just a classroom full of people. And so I thought, why not teach?
Awesome.
But teaching is hard. And you don't make a whole lot of money. And I got very frustrated just with the daily grind of it. And I thought, why am I here when that jewelry store keeps pulling me back? That family business that I thought I didn't want to have anything to do with.
Right.
But there's a pull to it that you just can't resist. So I surrendered, went back to the jewelry business.
Okay. And you taught at North Lafayette High.
Yeah,
Northside.
High.
Wow.
And at the time, it was a smaller school.
Yeah.
Everyone knew everyone. It was a great place to work. It was, but teaching wasn't my thing. Selling jewelry's my thing. So but you got to embrace that.
Yeah, and you taught for 7 years.
I did.
That's a stint.
Well, think of it. Most teachers are there 30 years.
Yeah.
I have nothing but admiration for people who teach. It is so important, but so very difficult.
It is. I'm not a teacher, but I know teachers. I know plenty of teachers. We've even gave the teachers that I went to school and who taught us a lot of stress.
Yes.
And me being a sensible kid, I like to think I was sensible. I realized when we gave our teachers too much stress, it was pretty apparent.
Yes.
And in the 90s and early 2000s, when things were a little bit more, I guess, relaxed, if you want to say, some teachers lost their cool. And I'm pretty sure some do today, but the repercussions are way worse today than they were. Where we've had some teachers cry. We didn't want to make her cry, but our class was bad.
Yeah.
Not me necessarily, but our class was bad.
I was one of those good students. You know, I did all my homework. I was always prepared. I loved it. And then when you're teaching, that's not what you get. Most of the class is not motivated to, read Shakespeare and do all of that. And I thought what I was doing was so important and so interesting and so wonderful. And it's hard to get 14-year-olds to, appreciate that.
I completely agree. All right, so going to the jewelry industry.
Yes.
So your father is the founder of Paul's Jewelry, correct?
My father is Paul Naomi.
Nice.
He had a high school education, and he went to watchmaker school. So he was a watchmaker. And after World War II, he came back to Lafayette and opened a very small jewelry store where Pamplona is now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
He had half of that building. Then he moved next to Abdallah's, where Tsunami is now. He was on the corner.
Okay, yes.
He was on the
corner.
So
all downtown for that first part.
Yes. He loved people. He was a handsome man. In his younger days downtown, he used to sing on the radio. On the radio downtown, there were big picture windows, and you could see the people talking on radio, and he would sing. And people would stroll by and watch my father sing in the radio in downtown Jefferson. And he had his jewelry store on Jefferson Street, and just Lafayette was small then. And everyone knew everyone, and he just loved people, loved talking to them. The store downtown kind of had that barbershop mentality where people come in, sit, they visit, they talk. And that's just kind of the relationships he developed. We are now waiting on the grandchildren of his customers from downtown.
Gosh, that is wild.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Okay. So, and this was, in my notes, I have 1954.
Yes, I wasn't born yet, but it's close.
And a watchmaker,
Yes.
That's such a wild thing to think. An occupation as a watchmaker, you don't hear that anymore today.
No, it's becoming a lost art.
Yeah.
As watches, Apple watches, quartz watches, that refinement of an automatic movement is kind of, like I said, becoming a lost art of people being able to repair them and fix them. We have a watchmaker in our jewelry store who's been with us 30 years.
Oh, so y'all have a watchmaker in store?
Absolutely.
All right. The occupation is not fully dead.
We have to be able to fix it. And a female watchmaker at that.
Nice.
Which is rather rare.
Okay.
But yeah, Margaret's been with us 30 years.
So a watchmacher, does she actually make watches or mainly just maintenance?
She repairs.
Repairs, okay.
Yes. She will take a watch apart, clean it, reassemble it, get the timing correct. Clean and polish everything.
So with these, is it specific to any type of watch brand? Because the only brand that I can think of right now is Rolex.
That's her specialty.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, she can repair them.
Nice.
And then with everything else, she changes batteries, changes a crystal, sizes a watch band, just kind of basic.
Wait, so, okay, I'm not proficient on watches, and you just said something that I'm curious about, a crystal.
Yes.
In a watch.
On the face of your watch, you have a piece of glass or plastic, and that can sometimes crack or break or get scratched and needs replacing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For a second there, I was like, wait, is this a new form of energy that I'm not familiar with? or an old form actually. I don't know, but okay. So this is just
Yes. This is a part of the watch, the face of the watch.
I was like, wait. So typically, watches are powered by winding up, like older school watches
Yes.
are winding up, or modern
movement of your wrist.
Yeah. Or wow. And so and so you don't have to actually physically wind it up. A lot of them just have the counterweight that spins.
Yeah. The watch I'm wearing now is a Frederick Constant, and it's automatic wind. So every time I move my wrist, this watch is being wound.
All right, so you don't have to worry about it.
Nope.
Gosh, I love that. See, I don't wear watches. My wife, she got an Apple Watch last year, and she loves it. And as much as I am a technology person, I still can't bring myself to wear a watch because I don't look at it as a status symbol. I know some people do. Some people, like, if they have a nice watch, that completes their outfit.
Absolutely.
I don't see it that way, but I think if you have a nice watch, I think it looks great. I look at my phone for my time. So,
a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And more and more. And what you said, jewelry is very personal. And a lot of times it's how we express ourselves. We express ourselves how we do our hair, how we dress. And the jewelry we wear expresses very much who we are. It tells you if you're married. It can tell you what time it is.
Indeed.
Tell you what colors you like.
So a watch is considered jewelry today, essentially. Would you say that? Or
I consider it jewelry.
Okay.
I do. Because you're right. You have your phone. We're surrounded by time. So this is something that is beautiful and practical as well. But I consider this jewelry. I mean, my watch has a beautiful bracelet. Looks good with the outfit.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, I guess.
Yes.
But like as a timepiece, I just can't fathom wearing a clock on my wrist because I'm like, why do I need a clock on my wrist? I have my phone. But as a jewelry, as a statement piece, I get that.
It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Okay. So Paul's Jewelry, founded in 1954.
Yes.
In downtown Lafayette, of all places. And I guess, I don't want to lose train of thought where I was going with that, but going back to downtown.
Yes.
When did you guys move from downtown or when did you guys move out of downtown?
We moved to the oil center. Downtown, at the time, that's where you opened your business. Yeah. That was Central Lafayette. Then came the oil center. And so Abdallah's went in the oil center. Gagery's closed. All of these family-owned businesses moved to the oil center in the 80s. Pieces of Eight. All these iconic stores, that people my age remember. We moved to the oil center. We were behind Abdallah's by the Piccadilly.
All right.
And we're there for, 40 years. And with that change, there was a burst of development in Lafayette. The oil industry was blossoming in the city. We were building, and there was a boom. And business was amazing. Everyone was happy.
I bet.
Yes, everyone was employed.
And this was before the 80s, correct?
Right in the, yes, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or before the oil bust in the 80s,
yes,
I should say.
Yeah, being in business 70 years, we've been through a lot of ups and downs. There's, and every time we just work through it. Our customers are very loyal. We're very, very fortunate in that. And so we've seen a lot of ups and downs. And we've seen a lot of movement in the city. It's why we're on Camellia Boulevard right now in River Ranch. The city kind of left the oil center. It's really now the medical center, which is wonderful, and full of doctor's offices. Our old location is a physical therapy office now. So we moved to the River Ranch location, and every time there's a transformation in what we do and what we offer and how we look, you got to grow, you got to change.
No, I definitely agree with that. So it is wild, like you say, from downtown to the oil center, now in River Ranch. What's interesting is downtown is kind of in that Renaissance stage where it's being revived, and for the past probably 20 plus years, there has been a movement to make downtown Lafayette closer to what it was in the glory days.
Right, which is when my father's store was there. My father belonged to the downtown development, and he would go to meetings and try to get the property owners at the time to renovate the buildings and to get better parking and And eventually he just kind of threw up his hands and said, I'm going to the oil center. But I love downtown now. I love the feel of it. I love the variety of restaurants. I love the art galleries. It really has developed into kind of a cultural center for Lafayette.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to get in my next sponsor real quick, and then I want to continue on that thought of downtown real quick, and then we'll dive into some more stuff about the business. So real quick, guys, you probably have heard me talk about this company before, but it's the Music Academy of Acadiana. They are Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. So if you're looking to venture into music, or maybe you're already in music and you just need to improve yourself a little bit, or if you have kids that are interested in music, check out Music Academy of Acadiana. They teach in all different forms of instruments, strings, of course, piano. They even help you improve your voice. I said strings. Piano is a string instrument in a way. But it's keys, people don't see the strings initially. But saxophone, flute, any air instrument. They even teach audio production, drums. I might have said that already. Founded by UL Lafayette Music School graduate Tim Benson. Really great local guy, part of a emo cover band called the Criers. So he's deeply involved in music, and also owns a music school, which is really cool. They have an award-winning in-house studio, a recording studio where you can create a whole album there if you want, if you are a musician. But yeah, they have tons of students. They've sent students to college and also to music competitions like American Idol and The Voice. Really great school. Check them out. Their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com. I was starting to let my thoughts go faster than my mouth there for a second. All right. So,
can we talk about music for a second?
Yeah,
I
let's
know
go.
you want to get to downtown and jewelry, but
no,
I have to say,
I'm game.
Lafayette Elementary, Lafayette High, I was in the orchestra and I played violin. Our public schools have a great music program, and getting involved in music was one of the most enriching things I've ever done.
Really?
I encourage, if your child is in an elementary school that offers a music program, put an instrument in their hand and see what happens. I played Beethoven in high school. Mr. John Kinney was our conductor, and it was just a beautiful experience.
So you said played violin.
I played violin.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you still play today?
No.
Aw.
Once you put that instrument down, you lose it.
Yeah.
I played briefly with the UL Symphony, but I was going to be an English teacher, not a music teacher. But I just wanted to give a little note of encouragement. If you've got a child who's interested in a musical instrument, encourage that. It's just a beautiful thing that they will carry with them forever.
I'm kind of wishing that I would have pursued some sort of musical class in school, because we had a band class, and I remember during pep rallies. I don't know if pep rallies are the same thing today as they were when I was in school, but the band would march through the hallways, banging the music loud, and it was
fun.
Yeah, and it was fun. It would get you pepped up.
Yes.
That's a pep rally.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm like, man, it must be so cool. I love drums.
Yeah.
I had a drum set before I moved to Lafayette. Had to let it go because living in an apartment complex, you can't have a drum set.
No.
So that went away. But I am a steering wheel drummer in my car. I'll have the music playing. Like today, I was listening to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and I was, playing air guitar and drumming on the steering wheel.
There you go.
If my kid shows any interest in music, he's definitely gonna experience it. But right now, he's a baseball guy.
Okay, that's good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anything extracurricular is always good.
Right.
Okay. So that was a great thing about music. Yes, great segue. If you need music lessons, Music Academy of Acadiana.
There you go.
Okay, so downtown.
Yes.
Now that downtown is showing signs of being revived, and there's sustainability being seen. There's apartments that are being built. There's the whole concept of living, working, and play is actually being put into action, because 10 years ago, give or take, 14 years ago, whenever I moved here, there was the play aspect. You had Downtown Alive, you had
Right.
the festivals, and then you had the work, but you didn't have the live.
Right.
And now you have the live and you have the work, and then you have a little bit of that play still there because
Right.
everything changes every once in a while, and COVID kind of rocked the world a little bit, and so things are still kind of on the up and up on that. But now that they're in a spot where you almost have that live, work, play lifestyle in downtown, is there a thought at all with Paul's Jewelry to maybe not go back, but to enter into that market again, maybe with a small location in that space? Or do you see that as a time gone by, even though the downtown area is coming back up?
That is a beautiful, nostalgic, it would be based on sentiment instead of probably good business sense. Because for a while, Oil Center and the River Ranch store were opened at the same time. And we almost found ourselves competing with each other. People would shop the Oil Center, then come and shop at the River Ranch store. And so that didn't make sense at the time. And we find ourselves in River Ranch in exactly what you described. You work, you play, and you live there. My brother lives in River Ranch. There are businesses all around. It's Thursday music festivals. So I go downtown often for the art, for the music, for the restaurants. But at this point, I don't think I want a second location of Paul's. And I just find downtown is so beautifully positioned to be more cultural than retail. And I think when you fight, what you're developing into, it's probably not a good choice. I don't know that downtown needs to be a big retail center again. I see it as a cultural hub. I see it with people expressing themselves in the food they serve, in the music, and the festivals. And I think it's just perfect for that.
So definitely a nostalgia play if it were to ever be something you consider.
Yes.
And that's I mean, that was a very practical answer too, because you see the writing on the wall that the retail environment there, while there is some retail there, you mentioned it's more of a cultural sense of, so if it's in the arts, it would be a great play to do that.
Absolutely.
But perhaps maybe the clientele too, there's a much younger demographic, and that could work for you guys with like marriages and all that.
Right.
But typically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know like all about the demographics of jewelry stores, but you have your marriages and your wedding season, which you have a lot of younger people there, and then you have a space and time, and then as people get older and they come into a little bit more money and they get more well off, then they start experiencing that want to have jewelry. So is that something that happens, or what do you guys see like with your demographic and the way money is spent in a jewelry store?
Jewelry is luxury. Jewelry is not an I need kind of item. It is an I want. Engagement rings are probably where it starts. It's that first probably major purchase a young person's going to make. If you come into our store and you buy an engagement ring and you never come in again, that's not a win. That's a failure to us, because you're going to need a wedding band. You're going to need a wedding gift. You're going to have an anniversary. She's going to have a birthday. You're going to have a child. All these occasions, it's not just the bridal. It's jewelry is often given. It's a gift of love, but it's a gift to symbolize that moment. Everyone gets something for a graduation, and it's usually a watch or pearls or diamond studs or whatever it is. Jewelry commemorates something special and unique in your life, and it's actually an emotional purchase.
Oh no, I would definitely say it's an emotional purchase for sure. So you were going to say something.
No, go.
Okay. No. I mean, the conversation can be however it is. God, I could tell you had your hand like that. I'm like, there's something that needs to be said. So me being in Lafayette whenever I moved here in 2010, I've only seen certain jewelry stores throughout. I think I remember seeing Paul's in River Ranch whenever I moved here, and then also jewelry stores kind of in that same thought is a very family traditional sense.
Yes.
So like when family shops there, they'll recommend like or refer like, hey,
Yes.
you need to go to my jewelry person at
Right.
such and such,
Right.
and so that family would usually follow along. So I think that's kind of what happened with us is we had a family that recommended another jewelry store in town, and we went there, and that's where I got my wife's engagement ring.
Right.
And it was a good experience. I wouldn't say that I would take that back. I think every jewelry store has its own vibe and its
Sure.
own, way of presenting themselves.
Right.
And sometimes people say, "Oh, jewelry stores come across as stuffy," or maybe they're just a very eclectic jewelry store. So, what would you say to someone that's kind of looking around at jewelry stores? What should they expect? How would you want someone to perceive going into a jewelry store? How does
Right.
Paul's do it?
I know that freestanding store on Camellia Boulevard can be kind of intimidating. It looks like you have to be wealthy to walk in the door, and that's just not true. I've had people working with me for 30 years. We are a family store. If you walk in, you're going to see me or my brother. There's going to be laughter and conversations. We're very laid back. No one's in a suit and a tie and that kind of thing. And there's jewelry in our store that's $100. I mean, there's anything you could possibly imagine, any price point. You're not going in there to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, though you can.
Yeah, right.
And boy, that's wonderful.
Well, that's a good day for you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Paul's Jewelry, and we say it over and over, at Paul's Jewelry, we know jewelry is personal. It's about people. My father's thing was whatever we sell, we have to service. If it breaks, we have to fix it. If it needs sizing, we have to be able to do that. It's all about the kind of service you give people. And I think that's where we are different, especially from a chain store. If you come in my store because you need something or you have a problem. And it's my job to help you solve the problem or fulfill the need or whatever you have. And so anyone there is going to take their time, get to know you, listen to you, really get a feel for what you need and what you want and what brought you into the store. You are talking to people who live here, they're local. I have people who live in Abbeville and New Iberia. I mean, we're a local jewelry store. We are a family business, truly.
Yeah, and so and I love that. So when people, whenever there's a new family getting started, let's say there's
Yes.
a marriage coming along, when those people come into your store, what's one of the first things that they may experience or like that you guys present to them? Like, do you guys go right up to them immediately? Yes. Like, what does that look like for you
I have
guys?
an 8-second rule.
8 seconds.
Yeah, when you walk in the door, in 8 seconds, you are greeted. You're just, hello. Even if we're all busy, we still want to acknowledge that you came into the door, and we know you're there. And a lot of stores, you wander around forever without anyone really paying attention to you, but that's not what we do. My father drilled that into us. You got 8 seconds to say hello. So say hello.
8 seconds. So that's a very specific number.
Yes.
What?
I don't know why he chose that.
Great. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, why did he pick 8 seconds?
That's what I think after that, you feel like you're not acknowledged or your presence isn't valued. And your presence in our store is the big part of our day.
Right,
That's
right.
what we're all about.
Yeah, because, I mean, you get a person in the door, I mean, that's a potential sale. Or,
Absolutely.
and I say potential sale, I mean, maybe they don't buy it that day, but, the impression that you provide
Right.
to that person that day could affect if they come back tomorrow.
Actually, most of the people who walk in the store have a repair.
Okay.
The majority of the people need a chain repaired, a ring, a battery. The majority is a repair. So, it's not always the big sale, but like I said, we do love those. But most of the people have a problem, and it's our job to fix it for them.
Yeah. Do you guys do custom jewelry there?
Absolutely. We just actually did a commercial. A young lady came in with her grandmother's ring, and it was old. It's nothing she would want to wear, so we transformed it. She got a solitaire diamond drop. She got a series of stack rings. I love remaking jewelry. There's in the commercial, I said that jewelry you bought in the 80s, you might not want to wear it anymore because it's from the 80s.
Yeah.
So don't let it sit in the jewelry box. Bring it in, and let's make something different out of it. I love doing that. That's probably my favorite thing to do in the store.
Okay.
Is to just take something, pull it apart, and create something beautiful from it.
So I love that. So my question is sentimental value.
Yes.
So some people hold on to jewelry from a grandmother, great grandmother, a father, whoever, a great grandfather, and that jewelry in its form represents that person's memory.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to entertain getting those rings changed, which I don't know if anybody would ever do that, but or maybe a better question would be an engagement ring or a wedding ring, let's say 10, 20 years.
Right.
That's a very sensitive
It can be.
thing.
Yes. It depends on the person. Some people will want to wear that jewelry just like they saw it on their grandmother or their mother. And for that, that's beautiful. Let us size it for you, polish it and clean it. But for others, one customer had several big rings from their grandmother full of diamonds. And so there were 5 granddaughters. And we took the ring and made diamond necklaces for the 5 granddaughters. And they loved the sentiment of that. It was still their grandmother's diamonds that she wore. They each got a part of it, and it was a beautiful thing. Some people would go, "Don't you dare tear apart my grandmother's ring," and we won't. And there's a lot of jewelry that's come in, and I'm like, please don't let me tear that apart because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to wear it as a ring. Maybe we can make a pendant out of it that you would be more comfortable wearing. So everyone is different. You still have the sentiment of the stones that she wore transformed into something else.
Yeah, because we actually my wife and I, we upgraded her wedding ring. We had a 10-year this year, and we changed it up. And that was one thing that I was so nervous about. I'm like, honestly, I was more nervous about what my mom would think about that, what we did.
Right, that you changed it.
And because, your parents, anybody that wasn't married in the past 10, 15 years, their whole thing was, that's the ring you wear until the day you die.
Right.
And it's becoming more common from what I've seen and heard, that is, younger families, at their milestone anniversaries will alter their rings and keep stones from the original and merge it into something else.
Absolutely. A lot of couples we find will take their original diamond and use it as a side stone for the larger diamond that they can afford when they turn 40 or whatever. So to keep incorporating the same stones, to even maybe use some of the same metal, for most people that kind of keeps the sentiment of it intact.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I think the younger generation is more inclined to change, to make it something different. I mean, my mother wore the same ring, and that's what she did. Now, she added all kind of stuff to it, diamond bands and stuff, because she could. But I don't know that people are that stuck on keeping that ring the same forever. Things change. Taste change. Your style changes. And I think your wedding ring should evolve with you as well.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. Some people are very sensitive about certain things, and it's a lot of sentimental value.
But that's what we do. We got to listen to you and know if you're willing to change, or if you just want us to polish it up, or maybe just add a band to the same ring. you got to listen to people and kind of get in tune with how far they're willing to go to really take something apart.
Yeah. Do you have any crazy stories about people that have maybe brought something into needing to be repaired, or they want something out of this world that you guys had to like actually put thought into and to see if you could even do it?
Yeah. There's so much that goes into jewelry design. It has to be structurally sound. It has to be wearable, especially a ring, because rings just think of what you do every day with your hands. And some people have ideas that are not structurally sound, and it's hard to get them to understand the diamond cannot just levitate on top of your hand. It needs prongs. It needs something to hold it there, or it's just not going to work. And some things have been an interesting evolution as they start with their idea, and then we refine it into something that is wearable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Is any example that you can think of that you guys have done that actually seemed crazy and you made it work?
Absolutely. We take crazy all the time. Yeah, it's interesting. Someone wanted just a plain gold bracelet, and they wanted the diamonds just kind of scattered in it.
Okay.
Kind of a free-form pattern. And so it's hard to interpret someone's freeform.
Right.
But it came out spectacular. Just beautiful. They had a vision, and we're so excited when we can fulfill that vision.
Yeah,
when
you made it
we can
work.
take metal and stones and make that work. Every year for Palettes and Pâté, we partner with an artist, and we kind of interpret their painting, and we give that piece of jewelry away for an auction. And that is a really, really fun, exciting experience, to work with an artist, to take their vision and kind of make their painting or their sculpture into jewelry. That's an interesting process.
That's cool.
Yes.
I mean, I kind of wish I had photos now to show that. That would have been a cool thing to see.
Yes, I can send you some.
Yeah. Obviously, I
Right.
still want to see it. It would have been cool to show. So I got a question about a particular jewelry industry, and you can give me your honest thoughts if you want to.
Okay.
They're typically referred to as the middle of the mall jewelries.
Okay. The chains.
Chains or
those little kiosks?
or the kiosks. Middle of the mall. Whenever you think of middle of the mall, it's usually those kiosks. But I know, like, I think K Jewelers and stuff like that. Those are usually in the malls on the sides, and they're legitimate jewelry stores. Now, the middle of the mall kiosk. Some people say that some of it's real. Some people say it's not. I've never bought anything from the middle of the mall.
Neither have
So, but from what I've seen, it's a very extravagant style of jewelry, whether it be real or not. Do you have any thoughts on those jewelries? Do they pull business away from you?
I think middle of the mall is an impulse buy. You're walking down the mall, you see it, you go, wow, that's spectacular, and you buy it. It's just an impulse. For what we do, I think people are going to put some thought when they come to Paul's Jewelry, because it's probably for something to mark a special occasion. You want the quality that we offer. You want the service that we offer, and if something goes wrong, you want us to be able to fix it and repair it. The walk-bys in the mall, that's just an impulse buy, and you probably know that it might fall apart on you or something, but you're okay with it.
Yeah. And usually, I know back in the mid-2000s, when you would buy a piece or you would look at a piece that they were selling, it was something that had a spinning component.
Oh boy!
To it, or it's very jeweled out.
Yes.
There's
bling.
It's very blinky. Yeah.
Bling is great, and I love bling. I wouldn't say Paul's Jewelry is the blingiest.
Okay.
We're a little more traditional, but we do have some beautiful pieces of jewelry. But I get what you're saying. But like I said, it's an impulse.
Yeah.
If you're really looking to buy something special, you're going to put some thought into it and come into a jewelry store.
So, okay, now I figured I'd have you answer that because I thought it'd be interesting. But now I'm going to go back to your place.
Okay.
Do you know off the top of your head the most expensive piece that you guys have sold?
Yes.
And what can you elaborate on the value and what it was and all that good stuff?
It was several $100,000.
Okay.
And it was a very large, beautiful diamond. Diamonds are graded. The finest color you get is D, and so someone wanted the finest color, the finest clarity, in a very large diamond, and we were able to get it. It came in on a Brinks truck.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was very
Wow.
exciting. Yeah, that was very exciting. Yeah.
A Brinks truck.
Yeah, we had to search for it.
Yeah,
you
good
know,
Lord.
It's not it's very rare to get a 5-carat diamond that has the finest color, no imperfections. So we had to search for a while, but we found it, and it came in, and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Love selling something like that.
5 carat, huh?
Amazing. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so I learned a little bit about diamond clarity, not enough to kind of have a basic understanding, because whenever we had my wife's ring updated, we asked a bunch of questions and we were looking at some stuff, and I didn't realize that some people are okay with a diamond not being completely 100% crystal clear. And sometimes there's uniqueness in diamonds that have a certain, I don't know, either cloudiness or they call them
Fluorescence.
but there's what's the black stuff that's in it? Inclusions.
The inclusions,
Yeah.
yes.
And some people are okay with that depending
Sure.
on how that looks.
Right.
Do you guys sell any of those things, or like do you do all kind of different? What does that look like for you guys?
When you come in, we listen to you, and we want to sell you what you are looking for and a price point that you are comfortable with. Diamond grading is very subjective, very nuanced. The smallest little black, like a little piece of pepper, can affect the price dramatically. And where it is in the diamond affects the price dramatically. For most of the sales, SI means slight inclusions that you do not see with the naked eye. I think that's a comfortable place to be. Once you get below that and you can see black carbon or big white specks in the diamond, that's not pretty. I would get a smaller diamond that is cleaner and invest your money that way. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna, if you have a certain price point and you want a certain size diamond, we'll show you this is what you can get, but for a slightly better quality, go a little smaller, and you'll get a much more beautiful stone.
Yeah. So I went to a smaller jewelry creator in town, and he was showing me some diamonds that were very unique. And one of them was priced at around $17,000, and it looked like a salt and pepper diamond.
Right. Exactly.
It's obviously a diamond, but it looks more of like I guess a jewel, if that makes sense. Diamonds is a jewel, but
Right.
like
It didn't look like a diamond.
right, but it looked very different, and it's still really cool in the way it looked, and it had a very pretty color. It wasn't clear by any means,
Right.
but to be $17,000, I was like, man, that is
Right.
wild, and.
Right.
And he said that some people really like that uniqueness factor, and they are okay with a diamond not being crystal clear because they want something that's just a little bit different.
Right. If you want something a little different, buy a unique Paraba tourmaline. Buy something that is beautiful and unique in its own. I like my diamonds white or fancy intense yellow. I've seen blue and green diamonds that are spectacular, but I'm not a big fan of a diamond that's full of black carbon and crazed lines and stuff. And we've seen jewelry that has been made with material like that, and it is interesting and unique. For your engagement ring, that symbol of your love and eternity, I've got to go with a beautiful quality diamond with great color and free of visible imperfections.
Okay. Hey, and I think whenever it comes to the personal preference, I mean, that's the obviously the person is what they want, but you like clarity.
I do.
And some people may like the salt and pepper style diamond, and they'll know that in their mind that it's a diamond, but it has obvious imperfections.
A couple of years ago, we sold a black diamond.
A black diamond
for the center, and it's kind of a slate looking color. It's not a true black, but that's what she wanted in a ring, and it was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
So is that just full of carbon?
It's black. It is not speckled.
Okay.
The color's consistent throughout it.
So how does that happen?
Mother Nature.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So now that you mentioned Mother Nature,
yes,
I want your take on natural versus lab grown, because there's people that have that option to do, and both of them, according to the research that I've done and experience with a jewelry store that we worked with for my wife's ring, that a lab grown diamond is a diamond. It just it was created in a lab, and then one is created naturally in nature.
Right.
So what are your for Paul's jewelry, how do you educate people on the differences there, and what do you guys suggest for your customers? Like, tell me a little bit about that process of lab versus natural.
You said the most important word, educate, and that's what we do. That is my job. My job isn't to tell you what you want, what you're going to buy this. That's not what we do. My job is to educate you on the options, tell you the difference, and be sure you understand the difference. I love natural diamonds. I love that diamonds hold their value. When you buy a genuine diamond, it appreciates through the years. It still holds its value. Lab-created diamonds, if it depends for the reason you're purchasing them. If you're purchasing it because you believe it's environmentally friendly, you're wrong. Lab diamonds are created in big factories. It's not a little white, pristine lab. It's a big, nasty factory. It uses a tremendous amount of energy to create a diamond.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and it's basically trying to replicate what nature was doing. Yes.
Yes. So for beauty, they're spectacular.
Yeah.
For price, the price difference is amazing.
It's wild, yeah.
It's thousands of dollars compared to hundreds of dollars. And for a lot of people, at a young couple, they just don't want to spend $3,000 or $5,000 on a ring at the time. So lab grown is a great option for them. Is it going to hold its value? No. It's like when you buy a TV set, you bring it home, put it on the wall. It has no more value. You might have paid $600 for it, but once you bring it home, and the labs are the same thing. There's no trade-in value. There's no resale value to them, but they're beautiful, and they're a price point that is extraordinary. And when you put a diamond tester on it, it tests diamond. We do sell them, and for a lot of customers, it's the perfect option for them at that time.
So why doesn't a lab-grown diamond hold its value, even though if you test it with a diamond tester, it tests as positive for diamond?
It did not take millions of years to make it. You did not go through 1 million tons of rock to find it. You made it in a lab.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
One is rare, made by Mother Nature herself. To find a beautiful 1-carat diamond takes tons to go through and find that one beautiful diamond. And lab, you just create it in a lab.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's say, hypothetically,
yes,
a family comes in and they have an heirloom, okay? There's no papers on it. There's no certificate of authenticity or any kind of sort of anything like that. And they have this diamond, let's say it's their grandmother's ring.
Yes.
And they say, hey, I just want to see what this ring is valued at and what I might get for it. And let's say you guys have no clue whether it's lab or natural diamond at that time of being presented. Mm-hmm. Is there a true way for you guys to know if that was a lab-grown diamond or not?
There are testers available to test it and see if it is lab or genuine.
So what does those tests consist of?
It's a...
is it chemical?
It's a machine.
Okay.
That you just put the stone against, and it will tell you whether it is genuine or lab or CZ or moissanite or whatever the thing is now. You know, through history, cubic zirconia was going to replace natural diamonds. No one's ever going to buy another natural diamond. Then moissanite came out. Oh, moissanite, that's it. No more natural diamonds. But natural diamonds are beautiful and rare, and they hold their value. And so that's what people, I don't think there will ever be a time when we do not value a natural grown diamond.
Okay. I guess I'm still curious. What is the machine looking for?
Now you're getting very technical, and that is probably not my thing.
Because
I know how to turn it on and test a diamond.
Yeah.
What it's looking for, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating. Mm-hmm. So if a diamond tester tests positive on a lab-grown diamond, mm-hmm. you know, to maybe an intermediate diamond or jeweler, they would be like, oh, that's a diamond.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And someone who has more sophisticated technology to test would be able to have the machines. But I'm so curious on what would be the determining factor in telling a lab-grown diamond versus a natural diamond. If they're both the same mm-hmm. clarity, the same level of, like, what would it be looking for? I'm curious. I know you don't have the answer, but
the naked eye isn't going to perceive it.
Yeah.
That's what makes the labs so alluring. When you put them side by side, you really can't tell.
Yeah. So whenever we were in the process of looking at diamonds and having a ring upgraded, we were shown, natural diamonds,
sure.
Lab-grown diamonds, and equal clarities. And then we were shown some diamonds that the reason why they are considered natural diamonds because they typically have natural inclusions in it in
yes.
certain colors.
Yes.
And so we were shown one that had a slight cloudiness on it, mm-hmm. but not too bad to where it looked dark. But this particular person that wanted this ring got that particular diamond because it was in their budget and mm-hmm. it was a natural diamond that they
right.
wanted. And it was just not 100% clear enough to where it was priced too high for them. So they got
right.
that.
Yes.
And then they compared it to a lab-grown diamond, which most lab-grown diamonds are as clear as they can be because...
Why produce an ugly lab-grown diamond?
Right.
There's no sense in that.
Correct.
Why would you buy an ugly lab-grown diamond?
Right.
Yeah.
When you can get a natural diamond that if you do want inclusions mm-hmm. or if you do want some slight imperfections for cost, it's there. When the lab-grown diamonds are much more affordable in the price range, then, you'd have the clarity versus, it's crazy to think about all the different variables in diamonds. Mm-hmm. It's just wild. It blew my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are people who value the natural diamond. I mean, do you want to buy a Rolls Royce with a Chevy motor in it? Is it a Rolls Royce?
No.
Okay. So it's not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the same value as a Rolls Royce would. So, and that's kind of the same thing. Diamonds hold their value because they are naturally occurring in nature, and there's a price for that. What choice you make, that's your personal choice. And again, jewelry's personal. So it really comes down to price.
Yeah.
What do you want to spend? And then it's my job to make all that happen.
And so you guys sell lab-grown diamonds.
We do.
Yeah.
I don't have them on the showroom floor. Everything in the cases, natural diamonds, real sapphires, gold, but we do have them and we do show them and we do let you compare the look and the value of them because it's your choice.
Yeah. And so, as a jewelry store owner,
yes,
do you ever talk someone out of getting a lab-grown diamond? Because you do have a preference. I can tell you have a strong preference.
Sure, and I tell them, I prefer a natural diamond.
Yeah.
But that's me. I'm not buying the stone. It's not my money I'm spending. It's your hard-earned money you're spending. And again, my job is to fulfill your every wish. And that's what we strive to do.
Okay. All right. Well, we are at almost an hour. That flew by.
It did.
Yes, it did. So we talked about a lot. We talked about diamonds in a good portion there. But you guys also sell a variety of earrings, bracelets, necklaces. Again, we talked about watches, of course, engagement rings, wedding bands. Is there anything that you do not sell that other jewelry stores might sell, or that you do sell that other jewelry stores might not sell?
Oh, we're pretty much a full-service jewelry store. We handle anything from a sterling silver loop that's $50 to a 5-carat diamond that comes in on a Brinks truck.
Right.
We have in-house jewelry repair. We have in-house watch repair, which is probably a little different for a lot of jewelry stores.
Yeah.
So when you bring us your jewelry, it stays in our store. It's repaired in our store by people in our store. And I think that's a nice assurance for a lot of people.
Okay.
Because you're leaving your jewelry with me.
So definitely the service factor that you guys have is a big proponent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, I love it. I remember seeing Paul's Jewelry Store's logo on Camellia Boulevard pretty much when I first moved here, because, this is kind of when River Ranch was, I don't want to say in its infancy, but it was like the hottest place.
We were one of the first to open there as far as retail.
That's wild. Yeah. And today, River Ranch has become more, I don't want to say it's a mature neighborhood yet, but I guess in the sense of all the other neighborhoods around, River Ranch is considered an established neighborhood.
It has aged beautifully.
Yeah. And all the development around it is exploding. And it's really neat to see that you guys saw the writing on the wall.
Yes.
And so you went there, and it seems to be paying off
70 years. We're still here.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, what's the future look like? Are you guys going to hang out in River Ranch for the foreseeable future, or do you guys see yourselves going anywhere else? What do you see for the legacy of Paul's Jewelry?
It depends on what the legacy of Acadiana is. Every time Acadiana moved and developed, we moved and developed with it. And if you want to keep staying in business, that's what you have to do. Right now, my daughter, Jessie, is doing our accounting work. She's getting to know the business from the office. She's in real estate right now, but she's taken those steps to come into the family business, take it to the third generation. So that I tried to get her to come with me, but she's like, no. Not yet.
Well, she's probably watching, going, "Thank God I didn't go," because she was like, that was some of those questions. Yeah,
there's a bright, shiny future.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different jewelry stores around town, and some of varying different aesthetics and styles and different services and different clientele.
Yes.
So, and obviously the market is what it is. It's a competitive market in a sense, but going back to what we talked about with family, I mean, you guys, as long as the customers that you have are treated well with their service that you provided.
Yes.
I mean, you guys probably have a baked-in clientele, I'm assuming.
We do. Lately, parents have come in with their sons and daughters to choose those engagement rings. And so there is a legacy and a tradition that is being carried on. And it's just a beautiful business. I am so fortunate and blessed that my father opened a jewelry store.
Yeah, I know. Way back then, too, man. And Paul, he is not. Is he still around?
My father is deceased.
Okay.
My brother PJ is still in the business. I'm still in the business. My sister Nancy has retired.
Okay.
And she is traveling and happy as she can be.
Oh, good for her.
Yes.
Well, do you have plans to retire anytime soon?
What would I do?
Not going back to teach, huh?
No. We tried that. No, I will always. My father still went to the jewelry store every day until 87.
Wow.
He opened that jewelry store every morning. And I see myself not doing as much as I do now, but certainly checking in and saying hi to everyone, and like he did, saying what you're doing wrong. That's part of it, isn't
Yeah,
it? That's
yeah.
part of the privilege of,
Right.
being in a family business and getting old in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Patricia, it was a great conversation. Is there anything that you want to mention that maybe we didn't talk about before we go?
I think we covered everything beautifully. It was my first meeting with you. I loved that before we talked about food.
Yep.
That's all we talked about. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful meeting you. I think this was just an interesting experience. And I'm just so happy you gave me the opportunity to come talk about this business that I just
Yeah.
love so much.
Well, I'm grateful that you wanted to come on and being able to do this, because sometimes I don't know who's comfortable doing a podcast,
Right.
and so I reach out to people who I feel like are comfortable, or if I know them. And now that I have connection with you, maybe that will help me kind of broaden potential guests that I may have on my show.
Sure.
So if you know anybody that is interested in coming onto a podcast for the first time, talk about their business,
Awesome.
especially if it's a business that's been around for a while,
Right.
those are really cool to have on, especially with you guys, because there's a legacy behind it. And to know that a company has been around for 70 plus years
Right.
is a big deal.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
because with today's economy, hanging out for a year is hard.
Right. Absolutely.
So 70 years, that's a big
It's amazing.
milestone for sure.
Right.
But yeah, thank you for taking the time to come on and
Thank
talk.
you for having me. It was fun.
Hey, I had a blast.
Good.
I learned a few things and definitely got to know about Paul's. With that, what is the address and where can people find you?
Paul's Jewelry, 600 Silverstone Road. It's on Camellia Boulevard. Just you park in the back. People get a little confused just where the entrance is. But go in the City Club parking lot. We're right next to City Club.
All right. And do you have a website?
Yes, paulsfinejewelry.com.
There you go. And I think the website is on my caption. So if you're watching,
Awesome.
it should be there too. But with that, Patricia, I hope you have a great weekend. And there's tons of stuff to do. It's in that festival season
That's right.
now. So enjoy the weekend. And I look forward to seeing your continued success.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. And you guys have a great rest of your day and weekend as well. We'll see you on the next one.